Thank you so much for jumping in today. What a day.
So good to be here.
Yeah.
So good to be here with you. Thank you for flying down.
No, of course. Had to. For people watching this, in a later stage, this is obviously our launch day. So it's been quite cool. What did we get done today? We went and saw a signboard.
Yep. How good. That raised lettering. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. No, I think that was a nice touch. Jonathan had a good go with the champagne.
I got to cut the ribbon.
Got to cut the ribbon?
Yeah.
Yep. There's a few confused people driving past, a few honks, which was nice.
Yeah.
No. Pretty cool day to be out there. But I just want to start by just saying, I guess, super excited to have not only you, Caleb, on board, but also, I guess, your whole team. A bit of a testament to what you've been able to build in a pretty short time of being out on your own. Like it's not that common, I guess, you see someone being able to not only duplicate themselves and like in terms of the things that you're great at, but also build a team of people that are just like super lovely, genuine people. Like I think, you can hire for skills and talent, but often hiring for attitude is the hardest thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Should we start there? Like, do you want to talk to me about Jack, Jonathan, Allanah, like how did you go about building your team into what it is today?
Okay. Yeah. So building the team, when I started Griffioen, it was just me on my own. And very quickly, it doesn't take much for one person to reach maximum capacity. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was about the 6-month mark. I was just like, gosh, okay, I've got half a dozen listings. I'm doing, 5-6 open homes, both Saturdays and Sundays. I'm doing my own admin. I'm doing my own marketing. It's a lot to carry on your own. So first step in building the team was to bring on another sales associate. Mm-hmm. I had the positive experience of working with Jonathan previously. And in my short time in management, we worked together when he first got licensed. And so it was really cool to have that, I guess, previous experience working together. When he first started, I had counted him in on some of my listings. You learn on the job. And after I left as well, it was great to see him just carrying on. And doing really well in his own speed. And so, it was about sitting down, having a conversation, seeing how we can work together moving forward. And I was really stoked when he said yes. So that was first step. And then I think we worked together in partnership for about a year. I was like, okay, how do I take this up to the next level? Because I was still managing a lot on my own and had excellent support from Only and their EA service as well was wonderful, but I was like, okay, I need some more hands-on support, more around marketing and admin. And again, I had the privilege of knowing Allanah as well in over previous years. So she had managed a marketing team for a very successful real estate brand. We got along really well. We had earlier conversations. The timing wasn't right, either for her or for myself. And when I made that call, I said, let's catch up for coffee, see what you're doing. And is this going to work? And she says, yep, the time's right. So took that leap. That's then, unlike somebody in sales where it is commission, this was a commitment to a full-time salary. And took that leap, and then I think even in that year from Allanah joining us, our business increased 30%.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that's testament to her input in the team as well.
Yeah. And then
of course Jack.
Yep.
Yep. So Jack and I crossed paths when he was first thinking of getting into real estate, like even just at the point where he was deciding, or he had decided to start his papers, his real estate certificate. And so he just reached out to me out of the blue. He says, look, I'm looking to do my real estate certificate and I just want to chat to some established agents. I've grown up in the eastern suburbs. A family friend had mentioned your name. Are you open for coffee? So I did it at the time, and was happy to have a chat. And initially I sort of said to him, look, I'll have a chat with you. I'm not in a position where I can take on anybody else. But, let's see where things go. And I just really liked his attitude. Like the fact that he was willing to just reach out to agents who are very busy and just ask for some advice. I thought that was really great. While he was doing his papers, I said, look, I've got some flyers that I need dropping. And, are you keen to do a bit of door knocking with me? He said, yep, absolutely. Just that attitude, that zero fear, no hesitation, just gets out and does it. And that still applies now today. So
Yeah.
I'm really stoked. So he's been licensed since January. He's smashing out the calls. He's knocking on the doors. He's getting into his content online as well.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go really well.
You wouldn't think he was licensed in only January, because his ability to communicate, even just like the real estate jargon, like be able to communicate so well on social media.
Yeah.
And his confidence and his clarity, like all of those things, like you're saying, like, I imagine that in their first meeting, it was like, oh, I've got to make sure I stick around with this guy. Like I got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and it's like trying to think how to describe it. It's this understated confidence. Like I've seen it a lot. I've been in real estate for 12 years now. It feels like longer because I was working in a part-time role before that, for my dad. And you see a lot of these newly licensed agents, and they come in and they're like sort of, bouncing off the walls because they have so much enthusiasm, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to make so much money. But I see that drop off very quickly. But whereas he's like this, just steady as you go, nothing's going to faze me too much. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do the right things. And I just really like that attitude.
Yeah. It does seem, from my experience, the real estate is a last man standing game. And so your ability to kind of buff those early spikes of motivation or naive, like optimism, and be able to get through, like for you sitting here 12 years in real estate, like I would love to see the retention graph of, I know it's massive drop off in the first 3 years.
Yeah.
You getting to 12 years, I read your post today you put out, and one of the things you said was starting your own brand. You'd always dreamed of having a place where real estate agents love to work.
Yeah.
What are some of those, standing here on launch day for something new for you, what is that future? What do you think agents should be doing, shouldn't be doing, or what's your kind of dream there, and is that still alive in terms of what you think you can build for other agents to join?
Yeah, so I think the dream state would be that an agent can drop a listing on the desk and the setup gets done for them. They shouldn't be having to spend their time booking photographers, ordering limbs, writing copy, ordering signboards, that sort of thing. That should be taken care of for them. And so that they can focus on working with the buyers and then meeting with other prospective sellers and working towards getting their property sold.
Yeah.
And that background stuff, because there is a lot of admin that is involved with real estate. There's a lot that we need to get our heads across in terms of compliance, disclosures, knowing that we're representing the property correctly. So really, they just need to be laser focused, I think, on, what does it take to get the property sold, and, where is the next listing coming from?
Yeah. Cool. What are you seeing right now? I'm keen to pivot a little bit into the market, because I think when you speak from experience, and a lot of people either selling or buying might just be watching this and just curious about what's going on. I mean, I'm from Wellington, so it's almost asking an agent what the market's like is like the agent's like, please don't ask me that question. But steadier here, so what are the things that you're noticing?
Well, it depends if you're buying or selling Hausia, or looking to invest. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, but honestly, 12 years of experience in Christchurch has, I guess, painted that bigger picture for me as to what the market's doing. I think Christchurch is in its own unique spot, and of course there's a lot of coverage around Christchurch at the moment. I'm often saying that the city is finally having its hot girl moment. Everybody wants to move here. We've got a new stadium. The nightlife is buzzing. It's really cool to see. Even if we rewind quite a bit, going back 15 years post-earthquakes, that really reset the typical market cycle in Christchurch. We saw about 7,000 homes, I might need to fact check that were red zoned. That took all of those homes out of the market, and it cashed those homeowners up. So they needed to find somewhere else to live. And we did see a lot of people moving out to the satellite towns, whether it's in the Selwyn district or Waimakariri district as well. But then the post-earthquake housing supply caught up. We saw a lot of new construction in Hausia, out in Marshlands as well, and other parts of the city. And so in the years following, it reached a bit of an equilibrium state. Prices didn't move dramatically. And even, I don't know if people can remember pre-lockdown, there were all these concerns around housing affordability and prices shooting up in Wellington and Auckland because the supply was so tight, whereas Christchurch was more or less steady as she goes.
Yeah.
And so when, of course, interest rates went to record lows, in the immediate aftermath of COVID, and the market really, was firing, driven by cheap money, to be fair. That increase in value was off a more sustainable base, whereas in those other centres like Wellington and Auckland, it was like pouring petrol on the fire. So hence, as the market has turned post-lockdown, or whatever you want to call it, COVID lockdown, what have you, the downturn hasn't been as severe for Christchurch. So, we've had a pretty soft landing, and things are on the upward trajectory. The latest stats that I saw from Ryan's median sale price in Christchurch is up 6.7% on this time last year. So, wow. Things are, moving in the right direction. There's a lot of internal migration into Christchurch, and then perhaps even those who moved a bit further out, in those post-earthquake years, or when the market was really hot and they couldn't buy in Christchurch and settled for a bit further afield, they're really keen to get back into the city.
And the vendors that are selling with you right now, what's their stories? Like, even if you can paint them broad brushstrokes, like what's going on for them? Is it the usual life stuff and the market hasn't phased them and you've coached them through it, or like what's people's appetite for pricing? Like, what are you noticing from those conversations?
Yeah, look, I feel like the vast majority of our vendors are selling for genuine reasons, whether it's life stage, the upsizing, the downsizing. Some are moving into retirement villages, some are relocating, and so they're doing it for a reason other than just price. We're not seeing people who are watching the market say, oh, look, this is the time for us to cash up and make some real good money, because things aren't that rosy, to be perfectly honest. But they're saying, okay, now's the time for us to get from A to B. Like, you think of the growing family, say a young couple bought their first home, baby number one has arrived, then the second one, and they're bursting at the seams. Often those types of buyers, they sat the market out in 2021 and 2022. And then, of course, 2023, interest rates, effectively doubled. Everyone just went into survival mode. Now that the rates have come back a bit, and things are moving at a more measured pace, they're like, okay, we can actually see our way into our next home. And so now they're making that decision to move.
Cool. Last question. What are you looking forward to the most in the next, let's go 12 months? Is there anything, obviously, there's a level of, we're figuring this out as we go. It's a brand new business and it's a new model that we're kind of pioneering, especially being a very hands-on support agency for its agents and things like that we'll tinker with. But yeah, is there anything that you kind of, I guess, on your roadmap, even I guess for 5 years, that you look towards in the next year that you're like, oh, that gets me excited?
Look, I like to keep 2 feet on the ground and focus on what's in front of me. But I think what's exciting me about this move and what we're trying to build with here is teaming up with some really cool people like yourself and Mitch to see how we can grow this. I think there is so much space in the real estate industry to service agents better. And this isn't so much about, is my focus only on agents? But I do honestly believe that agents know what's best for their clients, because there's that one-on-one relationship with the client and the agent. And it's a big decision for a seller to make and who they will trust to sell what is often their biggest asset.
Yeah.
And they don't make that decision lightly. And so it takes an agent who has been able to earn that trust from them, where they can see, okay, this is somebody who's going to work for me. And so I feel that those types of agents are the people that we want to work with.
Yep.
And if we can serve them to the best of our ability, because I think a lot of good agents are well and truly underserved by the industry at the moment. So I think if we can really nail that and build a service that helps them thrive, I think we're onto a really good thing.
Okay, agents, he's just called you out. If that sounds like you, then just treat this as an open invitation to slide into our DMs and start a conversation.
Yeah, let's grab a coffee or a matcha or something like that.
Sounds good to me.